think I got everything. There it is. All right, this is the Chocolate Mountain Show, and it's gonna be pretty short. But you know, I had to get my picks in because the game I think comes on at noon tomorrow, y'all. I think the game is noon tomorrow. I want to double check how I did last week. Let me double check. Because I think we're into week 17. Okay, I want to make sure I got all the scores right. Okay, the Rams lost. Philly won. I know Philly won for sure. Okay, Steelers won. I lost that one. Raiders and Texans, I won that one. Where are we at? Where are we at? Gosh, why did it take me away? Oh, good. Okay, it took me kind of where I wanted to be. Go back. December 21st. Where the damn goes? No. Where am I at on here? This is crazy. So is this the scores last week? Did it switch on me or something? Sitting there, look. Yeah, it did. It switched on me. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to, it's week 17. Cool. Let's see. I lost the Vikings. I won the Bills. I won the Chargers over the Cowboys. I lost the Panthers over the Buccaneers. I won the Saints against the Jets. I won the Jaguars I lost the Jaguars and Broncos. I won the Falcons versus Cardinals. I lost Steelers Lions. And I won Texans Raiders. And I won Patriots and 49ers. So I think that's pretty much it. I end up 11-4 this week. I end up 11-4. So for the year, don't work. Oh, there we go. Is this pencil? I wonder. This is pencil. Okay, so this would put me at $151. No, 154. So for the year, I'm 154, 77, and 1. I have to eat the tie too. Yeah, 154, 77, and 1 for the year, y'all. So this has been, a decent week. This has been a decent week. Yeah, I lost the Rams, Tampa Bay, Denver, and Detroit. Them is the only 4 I lost. Oh, yeah. Ooh, buddy. Okay. And then going into week 17, because I haven't made my picks. I just got home yesterday. Yeah, about 6 o'clock yesterday. I've been gone for about 4 or 5 days. Yeah, I've been gone for about a week. I've been out of town. So the Cowboys and the Commanders, I'm definitely taking the Cowboys. Lions and Vikings. The Lions right now aren't out, but they're near out. The Lions are out, but they're near out. Chargers or Texans. You know what? Chargers or Texans. Let me go, and I'll get to that one too. Lions, Vikings. Man, I don't know. I think the Vikings are out of the playoffs, and they're still trying to bring up JJ. I don't know. I got a weird feeling about that one for sure. Let's see where we at. Okay, Broncos and Chiefs. I'm going with the Broncos. I'm going with the Broncos. to beat the Chiefs tomorrow night. And then funny, football took over. Football has taken over basketball. Isn't that funny? Football has completely taken over Christmas on basketball. Excuse me. Texans and the Chargers. I'll say this: the Texans have a better defense by far. Yeah, the Chargers was getting. I mean, they was lucky. Well, they was lucky to win. They was really lucky to win last week. The Chargers were. Who did they play last week? Yeah, they had a tough time with the Cowboys. Really, they had the Cowboys moved the ball. The Cowboys moved the ball on the Chargers. I think I'm gonna go with the Texans on that game. Where am I at? Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Texans. I think I think they're pushing the Texans too. I'm going with the Texans because they've lost at home before. I'm going with the Texans. And then we got the Ravens and the Packers. I'm going with the Packers at home. I'm definitely going with the Packers at home. I might put a question mark on that one and look back at that one. The one that see the Buccaneers and the Dolphins. I'm gonna take the Bucks. I mean, they can't keep embarrassing. And I think the Bucks have won the conference, didn't they? Didn't the Bucks win the conference? I think the Bucks win and they're in the conference. I'm pretty sure. Jaguars and Colts. I think they want the Jags to roll. I think they want the Jags to roll. Colts, again, they won this week, but they've fallen off, I think. Steelers and Browns. I'm getting the Steelers. But I don't care what anybody says. Shador, he's graded high. I only watched 2 full games of him. I graded him in the 70s, probably 75 each game. I mean, he did well in each game. I mean, again, for what he got to work with, he's playing fine. He's playing fine. Steelers, Browns, Cardinals, and Bengals. I'm going to go with the Bengals at home. The Bengals at home for sure. Bengals at home. Patriots, Jets. I'm going with the Pats. Now, next week going to be a little different. We're going to see if people resting people next week. Saints and Titans. Yeah. This one's a hard to pick because they've been pushing the Saints, even though Saints ain't got nothing to play with. They've been pushing them a little bit. So I don't know about that one. Yeah, I can see it over there. I don't know about this one. I would say Titans win at home, but I don't know. Saints have played good the last 2 weeks, but that doesn't mean they're going to play good. You know, it's kind of... I'm going to say Saints right now. It's like funny. Most of the time when I cross a game out and pick another one, and not my initial pick, I tend to lose. Seahawks and Panthers. I'm going to say Seahawks on the road. Not to say the Panthers aren't playing better, but I think they're pushing the Seahawks this year. The Giants and the Raiders. That is a crappy game. That's a real crappy game. Let's go with the Raiders at home, even though they probably ain't going to win. But might get upset here. They need to get the Raiders some money. Eagles and Bills, you know, I'm not going to question that one, even though the Eagles are not playing well at all, but neither are the Bills. And this is the granddaddy game here. This is going to be a tough game here. Is the Bears and the 49ers. That is going to be a tough game. Bears and 49ers. Wow. My initial pick is saying Bears. Bears on the road. That's my initial thought. So that's what I think I'm going to go with. I think I'm going to go with the Bears. Rams, Falcons. The Falcons overall have a good team. They haven't been consistent, but neither have the Rams. And the Rams do not have a strong secondary. But decent defensive line, but secondary sucks. Rams secondary sucks. And I've been, rolling with the Falcons, and I've been getting burnt by the Falcons because they have a good running back. Running back is probably going to be first team All-Pro. I would not doubt it. Didn't he go 1,000 each side? 1,000 running, 1,000 passing this year? Something like that? He set some kind of record this year from scrimmage. I I really want to say the Falcons. I do. That's my initial thoughts is the Falcons. So let's go with initial thoughts. I think the league wants the Rams, though. I'm gonna say that the league wants the Rams, and so for this is week 17, starts tomorrow, or really wherever you are, it might be today for you. What am I? 154, 77 and 1. 77 and 1. And you know what? My paper like this last year disappeared, straight up disappeared. I was gonna look to see. Hey, what's up? What's up, Lobo? What's up, man? Oh, let's see. Let's see the chats. What's happening, everybody? What's happening? It's good to see everybody that's coming in. I appreciate it. So, but yeah, I don't really do much personal life on here. It's kind of I keep a lot of the stuff personal. But yeah, last week was kind of tough. Well, last 2 weeks I guess has been tough. My niece died suddenly, and like my brother called me when they was like giving her resuscitation. He didn't think she was gonna make it, and he called me back and said she didn't. So we spent about the week in Michigan, and we just got back yesterday afternoon. And my niece was only 8 years old, so she was a little girl. And I'll say, at 64 years old, I've been to a lot of funerals. Like 1986, when I moved from North Carolina back to Michigan, excuse me, in 2006, when I moved back from North Carolina, where I lived for several years. I spent 3 years playing football, and then I lived down there an additional 4 years. When I first moved to Michigan, I went to, it was something like almost, had a couple relatives die, but it was like my young dudes I knew was just getting killed. Well, I had one boy that drowned, but had another boy got shot in the head. Like, and the job they did on him was, like, yeah, it was kind of gruesome. And then my cousin, a guy going down 131 north-south in Michigan, was going down the wrong way and was going 100-some miles an hour, hit my cousin head on and killed her. And these are a matter of months. I had just moved back to Michigan. All this happened back to back. So it was like a bunch of funerals then. But this by far was the hardest death that so far I've had to deal with. I only met my niece a few times, but what you have to understand, and parents, this is the thing. Like really, you don't even have to be a parent, but just like when you have family and you have nieces and nephews that you love, but you have family and you have cousins that you love, and it's like as an older person, it's like we give tentacles of love, where everybody we care about, these tentacles go out to them. It's tentacles that come from our heart out to all our loved ones. And so it's like you don't really have to pray for them, because if you love them at one point in your life, your tentacles kind of go out to them. And I mean, for parents, you really have a tight, like I say, we all have a silver cord that's connected to all of us, but we also have like tentacles of love of our children too. And these all come from the heart, where all of this around here is pulled into you, and it's always there. It's like, as you get an older person, you got children. Like my oldest son is 36 right now, and you have older children. I mean, that doesn't change. The tentacle of love you sent to them stays forever. That never goes away. And with my brother's situation, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago now, my brother's son died. He got killed in a car crash. And so it wasn't that long ago we had to go through this grief again. And it's too bad, because the last few years of seeing my brother, every time I went home to see him, it had to deal with the death. So yeah, it was heartbreaking to see that baby, in that casket. That was, I can't think of a harder feeling than I've ever had of losing a child like that. I mean, that is like really a hurtful, painful kind of thing. It's like I was telling my brother, that was a horror. I mean, what they went through at the hospital was a horror. See, horror is not just blood and guts. Somebody getting their throat slashed. You seeing your child about to die, that's a horror.
That's what real horror is. It ain't somebody trying to scare you. It's real life. Somebody right there trying to kill you, or not being saved. Your body failing. And, my daughter, excuse me, my niece has been sick. She had a seizure many years ago, and it took her from 6 years old down to about 2 years old. So at 2 years old, you're still learning to talk again. You're learning to talk at two, and they had to work on all that with her. So her last couple years have been hard on her, and really, quite frankly, we don't really know at this point how she died. Um, we don't really know. There was nothing evident because they took her in. She was kind of shaking and stuff. When they took her in, she was had given a medication, and they took it that the medication was making her shake, and yeah, she didn't make it. So that's where I've been. I've been in Kalamazoo, Michigan, for about the past week. Um, and the most beautiful part of all of it is his wife has a really big family, and the disappointing part is none of my stepfather's family came, because my brother and I have the same mother but different fathers, and none of his stepfather's family came. Now, one of my mother's nephew came, my first cousin, he came, but none of my brother's family. And they knew. We talked to some of them, and they, two of them told me they was going, and they told my brother they wasn't gonna come. So, and then I got a couple of things to say, and then I'll finish up with this. Uh, um, like all uh, like when you're at a funeral and they show pictures of the person that's deceased, and what was beautiful about that part is all the pictures of her with people. um, um, the people was at the funeral, and we put a GoFundMe. It costs about 9 grand. And so we got some of the money in to GoFundMe, and the family paid for the rest of it. I mean, we talking about they wanted her buried too, so they already had kind of a family plot, but you still got to pay to even get that. Uh, um, yeah, about 9 grand to bury somebody. So, and I did a GoFundMe, and luckily, enough people showed love and paid for it. So that was kind of cool. That's kind of cool. And the most beautiful thing I heard about today is that my brother works at a government building in Lansing, and he said they had called him into the building and stuff, and he went in and he didn't know what was going on. They just called him to come in, and when he came in, they had like 70, 80 gifts for the two remaining children, because my brother still has two younger children. He has a 6-year-old and an 11-year-old. And so, all the people at the courts, like 70 gifts. He went in there and there's a table full of gifts for the two remaining children. Because, my brother hasn't had, it's all this just hit us not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before. This is, we what, 15, 10, 10, 12 days? And so they was able to do that for my brother. Um, there we go. Okay. Jim Harbaugh going all the way. But Lee, I'll get to this in a second. But so the one thing, what I was saying, as I was saying before, seeing all the pictures and seeing all her family that she was in the pictures with there. I mean, it was a decent, it was a decent sized people there. And I'll tell you, like, far as how I am when loved ones die, spiritually, I go find them. I spiritually do go find them, and I was able to find her and introduce her to the ancestors. Yeah, it's. I mean, like, everything is shaped like a terraced pyramid. If you understand where you generate the power from, is what is taught in South America. So you start from the terrace, but you're still with a pyramid, and so you have directions you can go up and down. It's almost like number. It really is. It's maybe some people would call it degrees, but it's just different levels that you go up and different levels you can go down, and it's the same with directions. And it's like, when people talk about going into the underworld and stuff, again, it's directions. The directions is the same. It's not like you're doing this and there's no direction. The direction still exists in the spiritual world. I mean, the Book of the Dead points that out very clearly, and shows you the different beings you might run into going to these different directions. So, And my last point before I drop this is one thing that was really a trip is the minister whose church it was. And like, now keep in mind he wrote this down. But what he pretty much said is he said my niece died because of Adam and Eve's sin. Now, I don't know, if you look at where somebody's coming from, I mean that was like not that was the one thing I didn't agree with. And a lot of times I'll even say this, it's like when you're dealing with Catholics or Christians, there's a lot of spells they try to cast on the dead. They really do. They cast spells. Part of what they say is spells. That's why it's important for families be around to counter them spells. And him saying about sin was kind of like a spell, but it was beyond a spell. It was more of a rationality. That for him to say that my niece dies at 8 years old because of sin, Adam and Eve sin. That was his thing, So I don't know how he comforted people saying that. I really don't know. Like how comforting can that be to the family? So that's my final thing to say. So what y'all saying? Oh, I guess it just does that. All right. You said Chargers, or yeah, I said that one. Gosh, what did I say? Vote up, mofos. Hill, I don't know what that means. Jim Harbaugh going all the way. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Bucks. Okay. Oh, that's very nice of you. Same to you. Same to you. Oh no. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you enjoy your time off and enjoy your family. Thank you. And brother Lobo, whenever you came in, thank you too. I'll give you big support. Um, Ande Esto. I don't know what that means. Oh, thank you though. Thank you. Thank you. And like we drove, and it only took me like 8 hours to drive, so it was a good push. And let me tell you, like my godmother's crib. Check this out. My godmother bought her crib in 1999. So what is that? We're going on. You see, 28 years. So their crib is 28 years, and their crib is about 6,000, maybe. I would say 65 to 7,000 square feet. So it's a big crib. Is it a mansion? Kind of. But back then, back in 1999, they paid $1 million. No, they paid $500,000 for the land because the land is pretty prime. It's outside of Kalamazoo, actually in Ostermo, and then they got the house built for $500,000. So they had $1 million tied up in the property, and they customized the house and stuff. But what's interesting about the house is his basement. It's like my godfather, his basement, like he had a man cave before the man cave was even invented, and this basement is like a party basement, like a motherfucker. He has two. He has a. It was 3 bedrooms. It was 3 bedrooms in the basement. It's 1 bedroom upstairs is theirs, which was smart that they put their bedroom upstairs. Really smart. It's only the 1 bedroom upstairs, but 2 full baths upstairs. There's 2 full baths and a half bath upstairs. Because my mother was sneaking away when I was getting ready, and I'm like, "Where is she going?" She's like, "Oh, off of her office is another bathroom. They have a full bath in their bathroom. They have a full bath next to the office." And but downstairs he has a dream bar. I'm telling you, the bar is a badass bar. He has a huge storage for the bar, just a huge extra storage going from the bar, and it's a full bar. And it's a living room, so it's a living room, and the bar is kind of integrated in the living room. So some of the bar is in the living room, some of the bar is kind of in the party room. And I'm gonna say that, like this party room is a small. What do you call them? This is a big party room. It's. I tell you how big it is. It's big enough to put seven or eight flat tables back to back, like two tables on each side, about seven of them or more. And each of these tables fit about four people. It's a big space. I mean, a real big space right off the bar. And like, um, when they moved into the house, I went to the open house, and it was like probably really enough for 30 people, maybe more, because it was 100 and some people for the open house. I mean, this house is really nice size. They don't have a deck. They just have beautiful, because they live, it's country counties or Ostrimo. It's out in the country. But we had our own bedroom. My mother had her bedroom, and so that saves, 100, most places $100 to $200 a night, and we got all that for free. So, and they fed us every night too. So that's, you know that is always cool. So it was cool. And let me get into it. I was able to see all my children. Uh, I hadn't seen my daughter or talked to her in 2 years, maybe 3 years. 3 years. She was mad at me, and it wasn't that my daughter was mad at me. My daughter is jealous of my daughter here that I grew up with. So it's a little resentment there, resentment of leaving. But she spent the whole day with my mother, and then she came over. I got to see my older son, which was cool. I got to see my older son, my 37-year-old son, and kick it with him. And at the same time, I invited one of my friends that I grew up with. And it's funny, and this is the irony part of, as I would tell anybody, I was an average high school football player. I did not make all city, all conference in football. I did not. I made all city and all conference in basketball. I made one All American team. And I can even explain that. But anyway, um, my friend made all conference and all city. He might have even been honorable mention all state. I didn't ask him. I forgot. But he might have been. And I end up going to A&T. He ended up going to Lincoln, University Lincoln in Missouri. Lincoln, Missouri. Which is, they might have been even Division III. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody can correct me. So it's funny. And here's another story. It's like Ben Harbor, well, like the time they cheated me, Ben Harbor was the #1 team. Again, I told the story before. I make a basket, and the dude pushes me on the way down, and they took my basket away. And I missed the free throws. No excuse. But that they cheated me. Straight out cheating. I made the basket, then he pushed me after I made the basket. But anyway, when we played them, they were #1 in the state. And we beat them. We beat them. And the point guards, one guard he went to school, Grand Valley State, I think is where he went to. And the other starting guard went to Alcorn. Alcorn. Now, I got offered a walk-on for University of Tennessee, and I got offered a walk-on at Western. A&T gave me a full ride. A&T gave me a full ride. But it's like, now, this is something I hadn't thought about today. Western did not play on TV back in the 80s. Till Tony Kimbrough played. They played in a bowl game. They played on TV. My 2 years that I played on TV. All my games was on TV. So it's like funny how these guys had greater, football accolades. But where I went and exposure I was able to get was a little greater than these cats. So it's just funny how life is. And then I got to see my other son too. Bro needs more jewelry to compete the pimp look. I can bust out. I got two. Well, I have my Shirling is right here. I got a fur coat downstairs, and I got 2 fur coats in my bedroom closet, so I can break out. And I got one with the big fox fur here. There's nothing but foxtail around the collar and the rest of it. What was his name? Ryan Clark wore one similar. If y'all remember a few weeks ago, Ryan Clark had the foxtails around the collar, but he had like a wool coat. Well, thank you. Enjoy your family and definitely enjoy your time off. This is funny. And, like I tell you, I one of the trippy times I ever had is like taking some acid and watching the Pope, because the Pope is about to be on sometime this morning. And that shit was funny. Being high on acid and watching the Pope. I don't mean to offend anybody, but that shit, and one of my great grandparents, well, my aunt too, they was Roman Catholics, so I grew up around that shit. Even as a boy, that shit seemed creepy. But the Pope, and taking acid and watching him go through all that ritual was kind of funny. Was kind of funny. So I'm not trying to offend anybody, but yeah, that shit was still kind of funny. But like I've said before, like if you've noticed, the time is sped up. I done went somewhere, drove hundreds of miles. It's only 560 miles back and forth. And the time is really sped up. And I talk about this every year. It's like once Halloween hits, time speeds up. Now, time is fast enough as it is, but it really speeds up because, again, they need ritual to help. They need us to put energy into all this so they can push in psychologically the new year. As I was saying before, and I got to get in touch with Pomo so we can go over this. Oh. Oh, that's interesting. Who is this? Character Lucifer Alistair. Angel Dust. Angel Dust is funny. But so yeah, that shit is a trip. That shit is really a trip. I can do that. But yeah, they speed time up so much. And as I've said before, they want our energy to put it into the new year. You dig? They need you, and I mean everybody, to put into the new year. They need us to push all our energy into this new year. And so without it, then why do you think they want, the new year, bring the new year in a bang? Why do you think they want the old year to look like there's an old man? So is all the past just old man energy? Oh, thank you, Mag V. Thank you. But that's what it is. That's what it is. And it's like, as I was really trying to get when I said about Pomo, is it really New Year or is all just the same year? I mean, what is new? You dig? Like really, like what is new? If we look at everything, doesn't it seem like it's just one continuous year? They want to put on they want to put on, to make you believe. And if you really look at the years and what makes the years it's just something they want to put on your tombstone to cut you into a period. That's what this tombstone does when they date you. They cut you into a period. Instead of saying, oh, this is just continuous. They want different periods of putting you in. And it's almost like a lock. It really is a type of lock. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Same shit, different day. Exactly. It really is. It's the same thing every day. It's not different. Like you go to work. How many times you went to work and like no matter what, like even me being a cop, every day was still about the same. Now, yes, indeed, some days I'll be on cases and I had to work 16 hours. Yeah. Some days I'm taking a motherfucker to the shit in the back of my car, to the hospital. I mean, but basically it was all the same. As I progressed through life, it was all the same. And here's one to show all y'all, and y'all probably did this. Remember when you was in school and you would look at that clock to see how much longer you had to go in school? Hey, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. So it comes from that. And school, school is the reason why the desks are the way they are. And that's why they went away from that, because that was Persians, or no, Prussian military schooling, putting everybody in line like the army. And like somebody was showing, everybody in line just like when you went to prison. Line up for lunch. But you can't say, I don't necessarily agree in saying they're trying to send all young men to that. Yeah, okay, you trolling, but that's all right. That's all right. I don't care about that. So it's not really a new year. Nothing's new about it. It's the same all over again. And the winter times, and this is what's interesting about the solstice. Like up here, it starts getting dark around 4:30, But I was looking at them break down how much every day we'll gain time, and then we have the long days of May, where we have some days be 15, 16, 17 hours of daylight. You know, and what we the solstice and the days leading to the solstice, we had the exact opposite. We had 16 hours of night. So really good time to manifest too, because all the darkness is a time to manifest, and it's a time where it's really easier to be invisible. It really is. It's just traveling and everything. It's easier to be invisible at night. It's funny. I was coming home and I saw two cars run stoplights, and I'm thinking, wow, you guys got lucky. You got lucky. This is one night not to run stoplights. And I'll see two cars, and luckily no cops, because they just extra patrols out. And something as stupid as running a red light is an easy way to get stopped. It's a stupid way to get stopped. You're only supposed to run, like, really, yellow means stop. Yellow doesn't mean proceed with caution. It technically means stop. Now, if you can't stop safely, that's yellow. If you cannot stop safely, if you have to slam on your brakes, you had so much momentum and you were going the speed limit, then yeah, you can go through it. But that ain't usually what you see most of the time. You don't see that. You don't see people going through like that. It's just people run, motherfuckers. So. Yeah, and it's funny, like, my mother's still kind of suffering. I know my brother is, and sister-in-law. It's a heck of a time. It's like, he got two other children to take care of, and it's going to be hard for him. Um, so, just give the people all the support. It was fun. We had my wife's Christmas party. The lasagna sucked. I was telling y'all that. My wife's side of the family don't cook very well. Now my niece cooked good on Thanksgiving. I was surprised how well she cooked. She cooked good. I was surprised. But them other folks don't cook good. And tonight, I don't know where they got that lasagna from, but it was some nasty shit. It was like most everybody else brought salads. That was the only really cooked food was that. It was just nasty lasagna and some bread. So, yeah. And the other thing that they push this time of year, sweets. Sweets is the other thing. Why do you think they push sweets? I mean, for some people, this is the biggest sweets time it is. Like, I've always been, I would say last 10 years, I've really been conscious of the kind of things I try to eat. I try to eat very few sweets. Like, when I get chocolate, I get dark chocolate. Normally 72 to 85% dark chocolate. I don't mind 100% dark chocolate, really. So I really try to limit how much sweets I eat, and I think everybody should. I mean, just like natural sugar is the way to go. I mean, fruits, fruits and the vegetables that have sugars in them. That's the natural way to go. But this other stuff, and like it's funny with Coke, like with Coca-Cola. Mexican Coca-Cola has always been around, and originally Coke made sugar. But when the industry and the government allowed high fructose to go into our foods, now you don't think when this went into our foods they didn't know it was bad? You don't think our government didn't know high fructose was bad? But they're getting those kickbacks and getting paid. Say push, you can put this. Like we have the most. We in America have some of the most poisonous foods, regulation wise. Look at all the foods that's rejected in Europe that they don't accept of American food. I mean, you can find the list. I'm not going to do that work for anybody. Find the list. And we come from a country of the most unhealthy in the world. Our fruit doesn't taste the same when you go other places. The candy's different. Now, of course, outdoor vendors and the way certain countries react to outdoor vendors, that's a whole nother thing. But regulated food, our food is the worst in the world of regulated food. And Trump was on there talking about now we're making American companies put sugar in Coke. Because people stopped drinking that stuff. That's why Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi is more popular. Really, Diet Coke is way more popular than regular Coke. Because people think that, getting away from sugar is a win. It's just like people drinking light beer compared to dark beer. People acting like, that's a win. Or like people that smoke cigarettes that would smoke what was it called that they do to cigarettes? What is that called? Light? Yeah, people thinking light cigarettes means light tar. Or going from 100s to shorts. It's all horrible. I have to bring this up too. Um, like I only have. Let me get this right. I only have of all my coaches, especially I'll stay at the high school level, even though I know some of my junior high coaches. I know one is still alive. My freshman coach is not alive in high school. He's not alive. My eighth grade coach is, I think, still alive. But my JV basketball coach, and he was my business teacher too. Um, I went to see him. Now, him and his wife were both lifelong family friends. Like I saw a picture, I was like, "Oh, I remember you used to look like that." And I looked at his wife and said, "I remember you as a teenager." I remember his wife as a teenager because she grew up. They lived behind my aunt. They lived. I mean, literally, you go through the backyard cut, and there was their house. So I knew her young. Like she has a brother that's only 2 years older than me. And I remember seeing her brother and Blind Bert. Blind Bert, like Bert was 4 or 5 years old. Let me see. They had to be Davy. If I was 3, I was 2 maybe. Maybe I was 2. I was 2 or 3 because they were only probably 5 or 6. They was probably only 5 or 6. And I watched them get in a fight. I was on my aunt's porch. And they got in a fight, and Davy grabbed a stick and bust Bert upside the head with it. And Bert was probably like blind as a little boy, but his glasses was even thick as a little boy. All his life, he wore super thick glasses, and he was technically legally blind. So, hence the blind Bert. And then Bert left crying, and then Davy came back crying. To get Bert's glasses because they whooped his ass for fighting and they made him get his glasses, and I couldn't have been older than 3 years old, but I still so that's how long I go to family. But one thing I loved about talking about, and something I'm gonna get more in depth of, is the history of Kalamazoo basketball, especially from melanated people's point of view, and how success has led to so much more. And I was just curious because like far as I was and where I played my pickup basketball was, I played at the city park. Now a lot of my friends never played there. Now there were other parks around Kalamazoo, but the best competition was 2 places. Well, in the summertime there was only one place, and that was Lacrone Park. That's where all the men played. Now where my friends played was mostly against other young people, because I played at them places and men wasn't really always there. But when I played at Lacrone Park, it was men I played against since I was ninth grade. Now, some of my friends and stuff, I remember I was in ninth grade, I destroyed Waddell. I think Waddell was only in 10th, and I just destroyed him. And I've told the tale many times of me destroying Ray Pete, where Ray Pete thought he had my J, and I'm hanging in the air, and he thought he blocked it going like this, and I just put it like this and flicked it. That motherfucker, chink, hit it. It'd been a 3 if it was today, but that's where I got better. And so I asked my coach, and he was telling me, he's like, there was a place. It's a newer place now in a different location, but he said they played there. He said they played where I was at an elementary, and it was interesting. He said he thought he was gonna go pro baseball because he said he used to catch for this dude who did play pro baseball. I can't Mike. The dude played with the Tigers for a while. Mike. Oh God, Mike Squire, that was his name. Mike Squire played for the Tigers, and he was from Kalamazoo. And he said in high school, I knew he went to my high school because for a while he was the high school baseball coach. But Mike had played with, and he said he thought he was going pro baseball. He said that was more again I never knew that about him. And so he was a walking history of Kalamazoo basketball and multiple players. And he was JV coach for at least 20 years. And he was just saying, we were just talking about players. Like I have one friend that's a broken record. Every time, every time we talk, he says the same fucking story about the coach and the coach's son, you know. And it's like he talks about the high school games, and it's like I remember everything, but it wasn't important to me. Not like the college stuff. Matter of fact, I would even say some of the semi-pro games and the money tournaments was trumps the high school stuff. If you dig, it's just but with him, you know how some people they say peak in high school. He was one of them cats that he really peaked in high school, and he ended up going to the, you know, and it's sad. Like if you look at Veterans Day, if you know the people, most people go into the military because they was poor. I have three cousins that grew up dirt poor, and two of them went into the military, and they both became officers. And just like my ex-wife, went to college for free. I mean, literally went for college for free, free, because they was poor. They went to college for free, and they end up going through ROTC, and that was the way to go. And then you could become an officer and make more bread. But most people that went in the military for 2 3 years, well, there's a couple scenarios. Think about it. When you was a senior and you got all your friends saying they got a scholarship and they going here, going there, where you going? It's like my nephew got caught into that. He went to a junior college in North Dakota, but I think it was good for him to say, I'm going somewhere. And I think he got caught. He didn't like the place, and I can't blame him. North Dakota is one of the most depressing places to ever even visit. You know, you ever went somewhere and got depressed? It was like that. In North Dakota, like, I was riding in Michigan and seeing where they had wheat, just wheat on the side of the highway. They probably planted, natural plant. In North Dakota, they was cultivating that shit. The highway wheat, they was rolling up and selling in the middle and on the sides. But anyway, so, but that's what most people, you know, he was caught up into that. And so a lot of people want to see the world or go somewhere else and just don't want to stay home. So the military is the only option they get. And that's just how it is. It ain't like, you know, speculation. That's what I've saw over and over again. And my brother the same way. And you know, it's like I don't like I told my brother, I was like, do what your cousins did. Now he couldn't have went for free. Our folks made too much money. He couldn't have went to school for free. Like yeah, that like me going to the school's walk on. You know, I could have got loans. I could have got loans, but they made a lot of money, and so it was like the loans was I forget now. But yeah, it was like I didn't qualify for some of the loans. I didn't know about where you could work, you know, work and pay for classes. I didn't know about that back then. But they made too much money for some of the grants. We couldn't get them. They made too much money. So, but it was just a lot of people want to say where I went here, I went there, and you know, some people want to see the world, and if you got to see the world being in the military, some people say so be it. And you know, like my generation, there wasn't a lot of war until recently. Like they went into the Philippines, but it was no major war. And Lebanon happened. You know, it was really no major wars until I got my 30s. Desert Storm, I was well into my 30s during Desert Storm. Well, not well, but I was like I turned 30 around the time of Desert Storm. So, I mean, I guess if they had to draft, but, you know, really too old. So, yeah, it's interesting the energies. It's a lot of different energies that I feel, and I felt all day. Again, this is my 64th Christmas. It's like my wife and I have been together for 3 years, but this is actually our fourth Christmas together. So, you know, that's kind of cool. And it's cool, you know, like taking your wife with you and introducing your wife to people. And my wife is a talker. It's like she can talk to anybody. And like everybody I bring around is pretty bright people. Like my coach's daughter, which my mother used to babysit, but I've known her, you know, their daughters their whole life. She's a doctor. She's a professor at Western. Yeah, his daughter's a doc. She's a professor at Western Michigan University. She runs a department and shit. And my wife and her is just going back talking and talking, which is a beautiful thing. You know, my wife is never uncomfortable if she's with people, which I like. You know, and I've told you before, like my wife said, one of the most important things that you really want even friends to say is, my wife feels whole. She says being with me makes her feel whole. And that's how your spouse and your children should feel. Like my daughter will never have daddy issues. Not only does she have five brothers, she grew up with three, well, really four of them. She grew up with four brothers, all older. And my oldest son is much older. She's 14, he's 37. But he lived with us for a while. When she was born, he was living with us. And like my 22-year-old son, he came down from up north. He's with us for the holidays. So my daughter's not coming until Saturday, and there's always this room too. So I'm not really, when she comes, he can transfer over here, and it's still plenty of room, or he can sleep downstairs, whichever one he wants. So, because he can hook up to the computer, his game to the computer, and he can hook up to these monitors. So whatever he wants to do, it doesn't matter. But we're good to have him here for the holidays. Because I was supposed to have my daughter last week, but what I went through, I don't like. She was like, I never met her dad, and I would feel really uncomfortable seeing. She said I felt like a hypocrite going somewhere where I didn't know my cousin, and I understood that, and it was really dramatic too. And my 18-year-old daughter even said, or no, she's 19 going on 20. She even said that she couldn't handle it either. So that's understandable. That was understandable. My mother was still pretty tore up today. I mean, like I'm an empath too. And I had to feel all those energies. And plus, it's my blood. She got the same eyes I got. She got the same eyes as these brothers, like we all have his eyes. George Washington Ampey, that survived. Look up the Battle of the Crater. Look that up. He survived that. They sent the black troops to run down to a blowed up crater, and the South had the high advantage. He lived. And I showed this many times before. Isom. And like this picture is a picture of the fifth that's in a group of the black 54th Massachusetts. Is this picture right here? And I think they blackened him. I don't think he's that dark here. He's super dark there. But I think they blackened the picture because if you see him here. But this is, we had to send the people trying to sell this shit with a group of pictures. But we own this picture. This is our picture. We own this. So we have a say of how it's sold. But my point is my niece had them eyes. Like his other two children have his mother's eyes, but them is the Ampey eyes that's passed on, passed on, passed on. My daughters have those eyes. And one of my sons had, well, no, 1, 2, 4 of my sons had those eyes. Yeah, Brendan's the only one. Brendan has blue eyes like his grandmother and great grandmother, so he doesn't really have those eyes. Sorry, I ain't been reading these. For hours and nobody has voted. I've been. What to say? Okay, don't go ahead and get that. That's up. Let me see. Or his real dad. What? No, same to you. Joyful day to you. Or his real dad. Who's real dad? I don't know who's real dad. But all my sons have the Ampey eyes. And both my daughters. No, my son Brendan has blue eyes like his grandmother and mother. Because what you have to understand is 2 brown-eyed people can have a blue-eyed son. But 2 blue-eyed people cannot have a brown-eyed son. They're going to have a blue-eyed son or daughter. So, and the other thing is I know, but the other thing is his eyes are like, it's funny. He has the color of his mother and grandmother's, but the shape is like his grandfather like his grandfather, like yeah, like his grandfather, the Henley Stinch. What is it? Hensley and Sensink, Hensley and Sixsink line. He has those. He has eyes like his grandfather and his uncle, his great uncle. Like his grandfather and his great uncle, because I still look at him and I see his grandfather's eyes because they're shaped just like him, as far as the shape of the eyes. So, oh, it is. It is. Genetics are. But yeah, you look that up yourself. Yeah, two blue-eyed people can't have a brown-eyed child. So, and like really, my oldest son, part of our eyes is like my grandmother's name is Hazel because her eyes are hazel. It's the same shape, but her eyes are just a lighter. And then my son Brian has, even though it's George Appy's eyes, it's still one factor of our eyes is the hazel like eyes, and my son Brian has that. He has like my grandma, and even my mother's eyes are are towards a grayish brownish. Yep. So they think they are. Especially this one in the other room. He found some vintage Detroit Carhartt. He's like, how cool it is and all that. So it's funny. It's funny, But that comes from me, I just care about how I dress. Like I say, I got them. What do they call it? Whatever the Jordans came out, I had to get a pair. I'm not getting them Bugs Bunnies though. I'm just a shoe collector. That's definitely the last pair of shoes for the year. I'm not buying any more shoes. Yeah, definitely don't need any more shoes. Or Kangos or hats. I was counting like dress hats. I have 7 newer hats, like dress hats. But I have one hat I've literally had since 2010. It's been in the box the whole time. One of my godfather's hats I've had since 2010 because it came with that box. It's kind of kept it together. And I've got another hat I think I've had since 2009. Yeah, that was before 10. Yeah, that was 2009. Well, thank you. This is just some Nautica. That's all. Just a little Nautica T-shirt. It's funny. We went to Michigan and like buying George or anything. Them Jordans hit for 230. Think about it like this: in Michigan, you'd have paid about 250 with taxes. You'd have paid about 250, $15 to $20 in taxes in Michigan. And because I live in Minnesota, there's no tax on clothes. No tax on clothes whatsoever. And that's a good lick. That's a good lick. I mean, people come from out of state. That's one reason when school comes that the people come from out of state because they know there's no tax on clothes. And you pay 230 and you ain't got to pay 250 plus. That's a pretty good dude. The Gamma, the blue Gammas, Gamma Blues. Yeah, I got a pair back there. I ain't wore them yet. I was gonna wear them in Michigan, but didn't end up wearing them. So they can just sit in the box, crush the box up more than anything going on, taking them with me, but didn't get a chance to wear them. So am I at the hour? Yeah, about at an hour. That's all I was gonna do today. Nah, I don't know if that's that interesting. But this is like kind of my wife and I succeeded tonight in the family. They do like it started for them as a white elephant kind of game where everybody does everything. But this is the stupid part that they used to do, and it irritated the fuck out of me. So everybody takes so they have a person get a gift, the person opens it. Then the next person gets a gift, the person's opening it. I mean, they wait for everybody just to wait to open up their gifts. I mean, it's so long. And then it's like they let people look and say, well, if they want your gift, they can take your gift. And which I thought is a waste of time for one. To me, it's like open up your shit and that's it. It's like a family shared gift. But they want to do it where you can look at something, yeah, I want that, and they make you trade. But that creates dissent. That creates dissent amongst people. Like when they first got into gifts, they said, well, does anybody want to trade? We said no. We said no, we don't want to trade. And then like I traded once, and I'm like, once you trade once, you're not supposed to trade. But I'm gonna go trade again. I'm like, hell no. It wasn't that the shit was important, but it's like, go the fuck on. I got this shit. I'm putting this shit in here. Let's go. And my wife and I won in that regard. They talk about, well, next year we'll do it the old way. Fuck the old way. The old way is stupid. It's a fucking waste of my time, And I'm not trying to be a grouch about the shit. My son was like, "That's the best part where you can take people's gifts." And, no, it creates dissent. You know, it's like everybody's got the same chance if you grab a gift. You got the same chance as everybody. You just know not to grab your own gifts. We brought 3 gifts. We brought 4 people. The children don't have to, you know, because there's only 2 children that get gifts, where everybody gets each child a gift. We draw names and shit, you know. So my daughter don't, you know, we brought 3 gifts because my son came with me. And so it's like it's some bullshit, you know. It's some bullshit to me, you know. What is my favorite album? I'm glad you asked that. My favorite album. Um, after the dance, after the dance, Marvin Gaye could be, could be one of my favorites. After the dance, that whole album. But mass production with Firecracker on it, with Pleasure. That's hard not to put that on the top. Isaac Hayes, the one that got Walk On By. Maybe that's Isaac Hayes Live or Black Moses. But Walk On By, that album that he's I think he's live and he sings Walk On By. Do 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 do. That's up there. Um, Earth, Wind and Fire, the one that Shiny Stars on. The one that has Lover's Holiday, that whole album. I used to, like, my 10th grade year, I slammed Lisa Becker every day. Then 10, 11 days off, we had sex to that album every day when I was in 10th grade. But yeah, the one with Lover's Holiday and Shiny Star came later. No, Shiny Star was on that album too. But Lover's Holiday, the one it was on. Jimi Hendrix, what was it, his third album? I like the second album too. Electric Ladyland album. Yeah, it's hard not to love that one. And even the second album, it's hard not to love Jimi Hendrix's second album too. The Meters, Sissy Strut, you know. Um, Let me think too. Jodeci. Jodeci won. Jodeci won every song. Jodeci won. Yeah, Axis Bold as Love. Yeah, yeah. But Electric Ladyland, you can pretty much everything because people forget all along the watchtowers on Electric Ladyland. And you have Jimi Hendrix. He hadn't moved into Electric Ladyland studios, but he was like the second album he mostly produced. Him and Chaz kind of, but mostly Jimmy produced it. On the third album, Noel didn't like sitting redoing things because Jimmy was looking for certain sounds. So Jimmy played damn near the bass. Noel was hardly on the third album. Jimmy played bass the third album. And it's you know, if you want to, like, I'm about to get a turntable and I got to find, you know, I'm trying to build some old stuff, you know, because the music and the vibration of the needle is a crystal, and the way the crystal amplifies the sound is there's nothing like it. And they got you a way, you know, they got us a way to hear this computer music, you know, computer music, you know. Well, Billy Cox also went to the army with him, and he started jamming with Billy way before Noel, you know. Yeah, he was jamming, like when he got in his first bands, Billy was in some of his first bands. So him and Billy really vibe. And it wasn't that he didn't like Noel, but Noel didn't have the soulness that Billy had. Because Billy, you know, played on the Chitlin Circus. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's how they took you. Well, yeah, MP3s, but they also took you, you know, compact disc. And you know, one thing that they didn't deny, um, a compact disc, you will get some of the finest quality. If you have a great system, you will get the finest quality. Like the sound is perfect. However, with saying that, what's coming off that vinyl, which is rubber and natural, what's coming off that crystal is a whole different vibration that was coming off that laser. And granted, I'll agree that the disc was like perfect music, you know. But yeah, the warmth of it, there's something, the vibration is higher coming off that record, coming off that record. And a lot of younger people are going back to that. I mean, these albums like Jimi Hendrix, Electric Ladyland, $50 easy, 50 to 75. 50 to 75, especially if you're not getting a redone one, or you getting maybe the trying to think of the run. But if you can get original, I mean, those are expensive. Like I had when I bought mine, I'm pretty sure mine was the first pressing when I bought my original one. I had all three original ones, and the other one that's worth getting is two that's really worth getting is Monterey. Monterey, where like you get the like you can get just Jimi Hendrix on Monterey, or you can get the whole concert. And if you get the whole concert, you get Otis Redding and you get Janis Joplin, and you get I think the Mamas and Papas played there too. Yeah, on vinyl. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like I go Electric Phoenix, and it's hard to come out of there not paying $100. The Band of Gypsies, yeah, the Band of Gypsies is what I just dug recently was one of the second takes, because I think he did two shows a day. I saw like they did one show, and then I was able to catch where they did the second show. But like I know or changes, where Buddy sings, and then like one of the like on the Band of Gypsies album, he hits that do 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 do. There's some Sly Stone. He hits. I mean, I thought they xed that out, but I kept going through songs and I caught it at the end. He goes do 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 do. You know, he throws that Sly Stone. You can get the complete. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had that. I had that for years. And like how I lost all my Jimi Hendrix albums was I had a storage, and the storage wasn't climate controlled, and it warped all my albums. I had like probably 30 years plus worth of albums, but it destroyed all my Jimi Hendrix albums. Like my oldest stuff that I started collecting when I was older. It really and all my old stuff, you know. Like I tell you, the Dramatics Jackpot album, Dramatics. Maybe I'll go to say that's probably my favorite album of all time is Dramatics Jackpot, and I don't even think you can get every song, but that had Me and Mrs. Jones, and it had Be My Girl, Oceans of Thoughts and Dreams. Yeah, that's probably my all-time favorite album. Now, my all-time favorite song is probably Angel by Anita Baker. And you know, I met her several times. She was, if they think she's bad now as an old woman, she was a grouchy young woman. But on her first album, Angel, yeah, I think I would say, but yeah, but Jackpot is hard to find. I go and call Electric Fetus to see if they ever get it. Imagine I can get it on eBay, but on far as Apple Music, ain't it doesn't come up. Now, me and Mrs. Jones, Thoughts and Dreams, Be My Girl, you can find them on Apple Music, but the Jackpot album doesn't come up for some reason. That probably, yeah, that Jackpot album is probably my number one. I'll put them number one. As I say, my favorite song is probably Angel by Anita Baker, followed by Mass Production with Pleasure. Yeah, Mass Production with Pleasure is probably my second all-time favorite. You Are My Starship is somewhere in my top 10 by Norman Connors, sung by Michael Henderson. Um, New Birth, Falling in Love. New Birth, Falling in Love is in my top 10. How good it is. Oh yeah, yeah. I was in Pittsburgh in 10th grade when that came out. Yeah, that's in my top 10. David Oliver, um, Friends and Strangers. That's probably two. Yeah, before Mass Production, David Oliver, I'll even say that David Oliver with Friends and Strangers on it and Miss on it. I mean, if I go album top 10, that's definitely in my top 10 all time. Favorite is David. Is David? Damn, I forgot his name. I'm tripping now. But yeah, he's definitely David Oliver. David Oliver's album with Friends and Strangers and Miss. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's probably number two. That's probably number two. So, um, just going through songs. And again, you know, those are the love songs. You know, if like I really had to break down like what is my all-time favorite dance song, you know, or fast song. Yeah, dance song. I think that's something you know to consider too. Like, what would be my all-time favorite dance song? and that's not an easy one either. That's not an easy one either. And so that's, man, it'll be hard, man. I love the Tighten Up because I think the Tighten Up by Archie Bell and the Drills is, it's around when Papa got a brand new bag. So I don't think Archie Bell gets credit for creating funk, because if you listen, because the Drills was a separate band. You know, he had a separate band. The band wasn't the Drills. The Drills was the dude dancing behind you, two dudes dancing. But um, that's funk, and that's, you know, if you listen to that song, the Tighten Up, that is funk. You know, so I love that. Um, Tear the Roof Off the Sucker, Parliament, Flashlight, Not Just Knee Deep. Those is all in my top 10. Um, Chuck Brown, Go Go, Mood for Love is high, and that's more of a slower song. But Hate Run Joe, not by Bob Marley, but Chuck Brown. There's a policeman on the premises, y'all. And it's funny. Like, if you look at go-go music has stayed. It's one of the few musics um, that has not transferred around the country. Like, again, in North Carolina, we vibe to it. Drop the bomb. I mean, you know, again, I'll argue '79 is probably the greatest year of music ever. The greatest music of ever. You have you have Good Times. Now, Freak Out was in '78, and then you had Good Times. Good Times. People forget. People say Rapper's Delight, but Good Times. Good Times in the summer of '79 was a massive hit. Then you have King Tim the Third. You have King Tim the Third, that is the first rap song. I would say almost I'm the Make My Funk to P Funk. I want to get funked up. To me, that's the first rap song, because George Clinton goes, I am the lollipop pop man, otherwise known as the long head sucker. Make my funk to P Funk. To me, that's the first rap song. But if you go radio wise, it was King Tim the Third. All right. Then they came out with Rapper's Delight. Okay. Monster hit, all up and down the East Coast. Then they came out with Drop the Bomb. That shit was, and they came to campus. Drop the Bomb. But then you got Not Just Knee Deep. No, yeah, let me see. Yeah, Not Just Knee Deep. Then comes out, we are those funkin' people. We love the funk, or the Gap Band. Come out hard. Then around Christmas, we got Curtis Blow, Christmas song. It's like I went home, I remember I went home that Christmas, my cousin, Narda Walton, his mom had a birthday party. So Narda's in there with his wife and all his sisters and brothers, which is all my cousins. We partying. And they're playing Rapper's Delight. And I had the Curtis Blow Christmas. I threw it out like, play this. They hadn't heard that shit yet. So they kept playing that shit over and over again. And by then I was tired of hearing Rapper's Delight. I was tired of hearing that. That was like September. But that was a hard year for music. But yeah, somebody put the Eagles. Yeah, the Eagles. I don't know how you wouldn't like it. The Best of My Love. It is like such a vibe. It's like I tell you, I like the Eagles the same way I like Jim Croce. It's like those are people. Jim Croce as an individual, the Eagles as a group. Like Jim Croce, it's one of his songs, Operator. I mean, that song, even talking about it just rises my kundalini every time. I mean, Operator, won't you help? I mean, he tells a beautiful story, but it's just, and the Eagles is, Best of My Love. How? Come on now. Eagles, like, they got one of the top selling albums of all time. So, yeah. And then, their harmonies. I mean, you talking about harmonies. Whoa, whoa, sweet darling. I mean, all of them are singing that in harmonies. So, yeah. I don't know. I look like my stepfather. I'll say this. He hit me to jazz, and I didn't even know it. Les McLean, Billy Harris. Is like the meters. I've only stolen from my parents 2 times. From my stepfather, I stole the meters. From my father, I took oh gosh, Mr. Butler, Jerry Butler. I took that out. Never gonna give you up. Western Union man. Send a telegram. Send it. That's how old Western Union. That's how old send a telegram is. And a telegram was really a way to send a person a text, a written text. I mean, if you look at the technology, that's what it did. You could automatically send a person a text, and they would get that text within hours. But that was one of my favorite songs. Western Union man, send it. Yeah, I love some Jerry Butler, and I got to know Jerry Butler in older life. So, but yeah, my stepfather really, and like the meters, I didn't really realize that's jazz. I just liked it. It's like once I saw it and listened to it, it never left my bedroom. It never left my possession. It's like once I played it, I never put it back in his record stack. It stayed in my stuff. It stayed in my room. Once I heard it, I was like, oh, I like this shit. Oh yeah. Oh, I love the meters. I love the meters. And so I had to have this sissy strut. Ah, that's why I'm putting the old school system together, because the old style systems are better than the new stuff. You got to pay a lot more for this new stuff, but you can get, like, going to old style, you can get pretty, and not pay quite as much, because you can fix the old stuff and you get the old feeling, as someone was putting the old feeling. And so that's what I'm putting together. A little bit, yeah, a little bit Steely Dan. Yeah, I guess I did like Steely Dan, because you remember, you got to think, I grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and um, most of the music was pop music. Popular music was most of the music of the radio stations. Randy Record Mart didn't come on until like late at night. I had a little small Panasonic radio, and it came with an early earbud. You plug it in. But like I grew up around Motown. I mean, really did. Like Stevie Wonder held me as a baby. When he was a teenager. My mother was like the road manager for a group called the Velvets, and their main hit was "Needle in a Haystack." And the Velvets, one of my mom's friends was Betty Kelly, and Betty Kelly, she moved up to Martha and the Vandellas. She left the Velvets and moved to the Martha and the Vandellas, and she's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So yeah, Diana Ross used to come over to the crib. I mean, Western, like me growing up in Western Michigan University, I saw the Stylistics. I'm trying to think. I saw in Kalamazoo alone, I saw Johnny Guitar Watson, Earth, Wind and Fire, I saw George Clinton in Saginaw when he dropped the Mothership, and they were saying that Kalamazoo wasn't big enough, and the Kalamazoo arena was bigger than the Saginaw arena, and all it was a little thing they shined the light on. It came down. I mean, it was like Kalamazoo was way bigger. And I never understood why they didn't drop the Mothership in Kalamazoo. And I saw Hammer, but I saw a lot of old groups when I lived in Kalamazoo. What is this? I haven't seen that. What do you think about Trump deporting dead Mexican tombs to graveyards up for Americans? What now? Let me see that again. What do you think about Trump's deporting dead Mexicans' tombs to free grave? Oh, wow! I didn't know that was going on. It's mighty morbid. How do they get that list? Oh man, how would you even know though? Really, how would you even know? How would you look at a grave, and you just going by the name? It's a pretty morbid thought. That's a pretty fucking morbid thought. That's a very morbid thought. Nah, I ain't got no opinion of that shit. That shit don't make no sense. But that's okay. That's okay. It's a lot of energies going around tonight, and my energy is to feel good, That's my energy, and I do feel good. I've felt marvelous for the last 3-4 years. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. I understand what you're saying, but I ain't got nothing to say about that. I really don't. there's nothing that really I'm engaged about because it's like, why talk about that? What does it matter? Well, how does it affect anybody's life? You know, it doesn't affect my life, and it don't affect yours. Yeah, I know it's a troll. Exactly. So, and I'm not gonna go on much longer anyway. What time is it? My time. I was only going on one, so uh, yeah, it's a lot of good energies, and it's a lot of. Let me say this: it's a lot of controlled energies too. So realize that the energy right now that's coming out, I would say protect yourself because the energy is controlled. This ain't natural. Like, think about it like this, and this is the only way I can explain it. When I was a child, and I used to look at Saturdays, it seemed like Saturdays was magical. And you know why? I was conditioned to believe that. The cartoons came on. I didn't have to go to school and listen to them. And they conditioned me to look at Saturdays as really magical. And then Sundays as kind of, being depressed because you had to go back at it. So it's like be excited for Saturday, but not as excited for Sunday. You dig that? That's the way it was. Is be excited for Saturday, Friday night. And as I got adult days, like living it up, living it up. Oh yeah, it's Friday night. The Eagles flying. You dig? So be hyped, like be hyped at work, or do lackadaisical. That's what they used to say at General Motors. Don't buy a car on Monday, because they all had hangovers, and don't buy a car on Friday because they don't give a fuck because they're about to get off for the weekend. That used to be what they said about all the car companies. It wasn't just General Motors. All of the car companies. Don't buy a car on Monday and don't buy a car on Friday. The quality's not as good because the people ain't concentrating. That's some shit. But that was the word. And that's my grandfather worked for Fisher Body General Motors. My grandfather worked there. My shit. I had at least 10 relatives and friends. Of friends, probably 20. Because the Fisher Body in Kalamazoo, my stepfather first worked for the Human Resources. So he's telling all the brothers. And I remember people telling my stepfather, like, I don't give a fuck about that place. I'd go get a job across the street. And we knew the guy, that guy did exactly that. Matter of fact, he left General Motors and went to work across the street the very same day. That's how plentiful jobs was during Vietnam. And I remember people telling my dad, I don't want to work for that hot factory. And then by the 80s, them was the best jobs. They wasn't always the best jobs, but by the 80s, them was the best jobs. So. All right, I think this is about it. I'm going to go down there and feel on my girl's big booty. Chase her around my living room for this Christmas. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And I probably won't be back until like next Sunday, next Monday. Probably before New Year's. And I'm going to end with this. My southern shit is coming out. All that shit is light up. Yeah, I can see where this camera is better than that camera. I can see that shit. That's interesting. My hat color's better. My hat color's better. Okay. I think I look more handsome on this one than that one. I have fun, I really have fun in life. And that's what it is about when you're 64. Like I talk about my friend that calls me from Arkansas to play ball with me in high school. He's still bitter off some shit that it don't really matter to me. You dig what I'm saying? Like this nigga is like and I said before, and it wasn't an insult. I think he in his mind was like at his peak. Like I wasn't at my best playing basketball in high school. I got much, much better as I got older. Much better. So that wasn't the best high school was definitely not the best I was in basketball. I mean, football, I got 1,000 times better in college. I surprised myself because I'm going to tell you, last high school football game I played, I took some acid because I knew I wasn't going to play, and I was tripping on the side, and I was like, damn, I'm glad I never got to play this shit again. That's how I felt. My last high school football game, because he kicked me off the team after homecoming, so I missed 2 games my senior year. I'm trying to get a scholarship, but I missed 2 games my senior year because the coach kicks me off the team. And it hurt me. It took away some of my scholarship offers. But despite that, my abilities was good enough. Well, I was able to play football and get better. I remember the first time I saw the college scrimmage, When my partner's like, I can't wait to get in, I'm like, fuck getting in. My boy Quick will tell you that. That's exactly my words. I don't want to get in that shit. I had to smoke a joint every day before practice my fucking freshman year. Every day. You can buy nickel bags, you buy a dime, you got about 10 to 12 joints with a dime. And I smoked a joint. That's what it took me to get through it. Because I was on the scout team. It was like every day was danger. Every day somebody could have tackled me and hurt me. I mean, it was like that. Smoke weed, got through it. Because, smoking weed don't last, like you couldn't play a college game and smoke weed. Now you could take drops and shit, but you couldn't smoke a joint and think you're going to be good by the time you play. The one time I smoked a joint before a game was a away game. And we had to drive an hour to get to the game. So there's no way by the time the game started that I was still high. You see, but it's a difference. You smoke a joint, you go to practice, you're going to be high the next 50 to 2 hours. So that was how I got through it. And by my second and third year, some days I had a joints and some days I didn't. It wasn't, the need wasn't the same. I was more in control. No matter who I practiced against, I was more in control. And that's, and like, as I said many times, you use the word pimp. A pimp is a person that no one tells what to do. You're not influenced by anything. People follow you. And not that you force them to follow you, people just naturally follow you. That's all a pimp is. No one tells you what to do. Now, you got people around you to get advice, and people come to you to get advice. So it's not about just sex trafficking. That name was slapped on it, but pimping is something totally is different. And I guess you could throw, macking, but macking is even a little different than, But it's a culture, and it's not a culture of sex trafficking. It's a culture of style. It's a culture of style. Oh, okay, hello. That's what it is. It's style. It's about style, too. That's why we say we pimping. We just being stylish. You did? That's all. And I don't know, like, as far as jewelry and stuff, it's like always. Watches and jewelry, always. My whole life. Like, as far as crystals, I got my first crystals in 3rd or 4th grade. My grandmother used to buy polished rocks. That's how I got into crystals. She'd, get them polished. And like my grandmother every Christmas would give me an Avon eagle or something. I think the first necklace or something in was some lapis Lindsay or whatever it's called. So I've been wearing necklaces since a young man. And as I said before about silver will never tarnish as long as you wear it every day. You see, this just being on me. Like I showed before, this side is way shinier than this side. This side that's against my body, look at the difference. Look how shiny it is. It's much more shiny that's laying against my body than this part. Center, silver reacts to you. It's a live metal. The gold's not gonna have any reaction to your skin, but like gold won't tarnish if you just let it sit. Like my bracelet of copper with magnets. This is copper and magnets. My son said he let this out. Again, it comes with a bag. As long as you keep it in the bag, it ain't gonna corrode. The silver again is pretty much alive, but you take, like I've got other copper nuggets I left out and they don't tarnish. So he probably let them get wet. Yeah, you don't really want copper to get wet. But silver, it don't matter, it get wet. Nothing's gonna happen to it, but it's a live metal. And this metal gets inside of you and it helps internally, and so does copper. But as I said before, gold helps mentally. Gold is the one metal that actually helps your mind, your brain. And that's the thing to be in control of, is your thoughts, your brain. Like Motivite, that's one part that it does, is Motivite helps your neurons. It helps repair neurons. And I am positive that, I had a stroke. And the stroke didn't take me out. I had a cousin that, he was a vegetable. Well, he wasn't quite a vegetable. He couldn't speak, couldn't walk, couldn't use his hands and arms, couldn't talk. Now, one of my cousins had a stroke and he was able to still to kind of function, but he was slow. He was definitely slow. And as the years went by, I saw him just get slower. I'm lucky, and I'm taking the right minerals. I'm telling you, like any old people out there, I'm taking lion's mane, and that shit helps. That shit helps mentally. Because what happens when you get older and you start losing, you forget what you've just done. You forget the little hints to tell you what you just talked about. Now, yeah, you can go back years and remember, but what you just do? And like I'm admit, with the shit I was doing, I'd come up the stairs and be like, forgot what the fuck I done. I have a thought. I come upstairs and be forgot the fuck what I'm coming to. I'm just upstairs and don't even remember why. Now today, I came upstairs and I hadn't put my watch on. You know, because I wear my Apple Watch when I exercise, but when I'm out and about, and you know, this one especially, to have the multiple times, the Apple Watch don't really do that. I mean, I guess you could buy a face, but anyway, came upstairs with the idea of grabbing my watch out the winder, and I kind of forgot. But the thing that you want is hints. You want to remember the hints. It's like I left my gloves because we took my mother's car because my mother don't never drive the car, and we've taken the X5 and my RDX. We've taken multiple trips in the last year, multiple trips. So it's like your car sit all the time. We gonna take the 300S, and and she was saying that maybe the 300S, the front is longer than the back, but and it's fun to push. But it was like just remember little hints and stuff. And it was funny when I was driving. I like driver fatigue is a motherfucker, and I was trying to fight it. And I felt myself. I had like drooped for a split second, then I got back up, and I felt refreshed when I did it. And then my mother caught me doing it. But after I did it, I felt fine. I really like. She caught me nodding, and she was like, "Are you sleeping?" And I jumped out of it, and I felt like that little microseconds of rest was enough to make me feel refreshed. Coming back, again, when you go, it loops you around Rockford, so you don't really go through Chicago. So it takes you completely around and takes you to the skyline on the south, and you go south when you're coming Chicago from my where I'm coming from when I first hit the highway. So you fight that, but coming back was not, we stopped, and we never stopped in 8, and it was literally 8 hours because we lose an hour going, we gain an hour coming back. So, well, I think that's it. Take care of yourself, love your family. You get a chance to be with your family. You give a chance to give. That's the best feeling in the world. Is the chance to just give, and you give freely. You don't give gifts to get gifts back. You just give gifts. You did. So it's like Mugs be like, well, she didn't even get me anything for my birthday, and did she tell you happy birthday? Was she there with you? She's there with you. If she didn't get you anything, that's okay. If she told you happy birthday, what else you need? Does her love show materialism, or does her love show that she's there with you? Did? Thinking about it, I've got to find my wife's gift. What the fuck I did with it? I showed it last time I was on. I don't know what the fuck I did with it. It's in this motherfucker somewhere. Oh, here it is. I'll show it again. This shit is neat. I'll show it again. I know she's gonna love this. I mean, just because it's sentimental. It's really sentimental, and it's forever. Last time, I think it is. So, this is us in 3D, and this is like the first minutes that we met, and if I can get a good shot of it. I'm showing. Okay, let me black these out. I'm getting a lot of reflection. Let me not touch it for a few minutes, but you can kind of see it. We get a lot of reflection. The computers turn off in a minute. But this picture is the first time we actually met. This is within moments of us meeting. And we fucking been together ever since. And my wife says that the first time she saw me, that she knew I was her person. And like we argued like a motherfucker because when we was coming down, but we argued about politics and shit. Because she says there should never be any hate. I don't know if there should never be any hate. Like I come from the generation of hate that hate produced. I mean, do you think Malcolm loved these motherfuckers? King did. King still loved these motherfuckers because they was paying for his shit. But we can't forget that Malcolm was getting paid too. Malcolm was a Mason. We can't forget that. But if you listen to brothers in the 60s, Fred Hampton and a bunch of other brothers from Vietnam, they hated these motherfuckers. Chris Rock is the only one really touches that. He talks about how his uncle hated these motherfuckers. And there's a group of people, that really have act like they're the melanated people's friends, but at the same time, all in their neighborhoods. You could see the people they handed off to control the melanated neighborhoods. First, it was Jewish faith people. Then they bring the Koreans and all those people in. Won't give you a loan, but they all in the melanated neighborhoods. Then they brought the Arabs in. Look at Detroit. The people of Dearborn get all the oil. It's only one melanated owned gas station. All them people that live in Dearborn own all the gas stations. That's where they get their generational wealth from. They control the gas in Detroit. And they all live in Dearborn. You see, they gave those people a whole city. Now, that's what was given to those people. They gave them that whole city. Where they live in Dearborn, my boy Teddy was from Inkster. But Dearborn's where the Greenfield Museum is, the Ford testing grounds. And they gave them that. And I'm gonna say this. Is like politically, brothers in the 60s was way ahead of young brothers now. Brothers knew the system. This is when you listen to Fred Hampton. And Fred Hampton was really the only one that figured it out. He was like, no. He said the only division is classism. I think I watched a short today, and what she basically said is what the poor Europeans got out of it was status. Europeans didn't jump in status overnight, but what they got is the courts, the police, but they got status. They didn't move up. Not like you would think. The working European did not move up after Reconstruction. Not like you would think. They were still the working people. But they got that status, that Lyndon B. Johnson, as long as they can feel better than somebody. But they were still the working poor. And that's what a generation of people didn't understand. Because they got status, and that's why a lot of European people could the same Reaganites he brought out. It's okay to be a European. It doesn't matter if you're poor, rich, or whatever. That doesn't matter. You're European, so you're better than anybody. But you got them people to say, hey, we better than all y'all, even the elites here. You got a group of people saying they even above the elites. And that's what the whole government was always about. That's why people don't vote for president. It's about the elites. Never for the common people. This was never a country about the common people. I mean, we were never really broken away from England. If you be a lawyer and go to school, you got to be a barrister, an English barrister. Does that mean we broke away? They gave them Canada. Why wouldn't you kick them out the whole continent? Why would you kick them out the whole continent if you really defeated them? And you listen to the stories on how Benedict Arnold tried to help them, knock them out, and they couldn't do it. and I'll say this: history's not believable. It's definitely some years that they just made up some shit. And as I said before, the Black Plague, that's what it did. The Black Plague was Black Plague. killed a lot of the melanated people in Europe. And then they lied, and people discovered that yes, Europe was very melanated. That all these statues and shit, that's the Tartaria bullshit. What about the black mobility, the melanated mobility of Europe? And I've said that from the very beginning. If you follow me, if you ever listen to me, is that Tartaria bullshit is again that's about European supremacy, saying there was a older, highly advanced European society. That's what Tartaria is to really. Has nothing to do, it has nothing to do with the melanated people of America or the world. Saying that they came to America and only Europeans could dig out these castles. That's part of the Mudflat story. Not that they destroyed mounds. I just went through a state where I've seen mounds. Wisconsin had the most mounds. Therefore, they had the most mounds destroyed. This was the land of the mounds, especially the Midwest. I mean, actually going to Arkansas, what is Sapporo? And Sapporo proves that the Mayan and the Olmec come into North America. St. Louis, Chapello, whatever it's called. Again, same people that came up. So, yeah, history. Yeah, it's 2-3 years of these Europeans that lied to say why they're legitimate. I mean, you got Germans running England. That's why they got rid of that. That's why they got rid of the first king, to try to hide that them people as Germans. Windsor was a name from they created after German name. Okay, well, okay, well, I'm glad that put that fear out there where you think this is counter. That's what these are, is counters. You dig what I'm saying? It's like they're putting up counters. That's all right. I put out what I need to put out, and it's for whoever has ears. As they say, Paul says in the Gnostic books, those who have ears will hear. That's all it is. I ain't trying to save nobody. If this helps raise your vibration, that's it. That's it. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, the 25th is yeah, and that's why Christmas trees is German. Like I was talking about the Queen, the people's all Germans. Putting a tree in your house is German. It's like they really copied a lot of pagan holidays to keep their holiday, make their holiday grow by using all these pagan holidays. That's the reality of what we see. It's like we took a religion that was really created to control. Because you study the real Yahshua, it was all about love and lifting the poor up. That's the original message. It's all about love and lifting the poor. So there is no poor. No bankers. No bankers. No interest charged. No trying to manipulate the public. That's why he says, let Caesars be Caesars. These are people putting other things upon your lives that really have nothing to do with being spiritual. Nothing to do with being spiritual at all. Or you should know if you don't know. Again, I'm not here to save anybody. I'm like, shine, 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 please save me. I give you more pussy than you ever can see. Pussy's good, but it don't last. First, I've got to save my own black ass. And that's how I feel. I'm only trying to save me. I'm not trying to save anybody else. I'm trying to save me. I tell a joke, I only care if I laugh. It's like when I put out this stuff about basket manipulation and grip gloves, I know. I know. I know the sports is fake. I like know the message of the hero twins. And that's why I love pickleball, because it is the hero twins. Think about it, it's 4 people or 2 people. And you have to cooperate. You have to cooperate to keep the game going. So that's perfect example of the hero twins. But what they've turned into things that the players once owned, now these owners owned. The players used to own all the sports. And that's why, Jim Thorpe, love him as much as I do. Still, he helped take it away from the players. They said, we need owners. You be the commissioner. So Jim Thorpe, he influenced everybody else to sign up with the owners. We get these team and we got owners. And George Hallis, truth be told, he was him and Curly LeBeau. They hustled to get sponsors. That's why they was original the Decatur Staleys. The Bears were the Decatur Staleys where he worked and got the money to set his team up. Same thing with the Green Bay Packers. They were the Acme Packers. But these were players that created the leagues, and then they had owners, sponsors, owners. Green Bay is the one team that's never had an owner. The people on the team. So, well, I think I've had enough, y'all. I appreciate y'all coming. And, I think that'll get rid of it. Um, you know, definitely till we meet again. I figure out how to turn this motherfucker off. Yeah.